Martin mentioned employee handbook earlier, and I think that's a good place to kind of take this next because we can go through all of these different laws and acts that have gone into place over the years, everything from OSHA to ADA to FMLA, all those kinds of things. But I think your employee handbook, you can tell me the purpose of it and why it's so important, but I would say it's probably so you're covering all of those bases at some point to your employees and it's out there and you have a policy on it and all those kinds of things, right?
Absolutely. You're right, Khalil. When I'm get a call to defend an employer, one of the first things I'm doing is I'm asking for, the individual's personnel file, and I'm asking for a copy of your employee handbook. And presumably that employee handbook, has a non-discrimination statement in it if it's a wrongful termination claim based on discrimination. Presumably they have a harassment policy. Harassment policy is incredibly important because there are certain defenses to harassment claims that are available to employers only if certain information is included in the employee handbook, such as a complaint reporting mechanism procedure for employees to use. So that's incredibly important and not required by law, but required if you want to take advantage of some of those defenses and harassment claims. You do have a few policies that are required by law. For example, the Family Medical Leave Act requires certain information be provided to employees. And if you have an employee handbook, that it be included in the employee handbook. And then there are several different state laws that states may have, and even in a few instances, some localities in San Francisco, New York, and some bigger jurisdictions where different information is required to be included in employee handbooks as well. So there's the required information and then the recommended information. And again, that's the recommended information a lot of times is what I'm using to defend employment claims. That's the language in employee handbooks that, frankly, I don't think most employees look at very closely. A lot of times it may be kind of included in the back. That's fine. I don't care where it is in the employee handbook. I mean, I don't want it, hidden in there somewhere. You have a 80-page document and this covers page 38 or something like that. But but most employees really are only concerned about, in my opinion, their leave policy. What are my benefits? What's my leave? And so with an employee handbook, that's really what you're providing to them. But you do want to be sure to have other policies such as, I'll report asking employees or requiring employees to report any injury immediately. Letting employees know that they may be, monitored if you have, cameras or subject to search if in certain instances. Drug and alcohol programs are typically a big piece in employee handbooks, especially with medical marijuana, recreational marijuana, and all of that changing, state by state and changing on a regular basis. So those are a few of the things that you want in there that employees may or may not be, too interested in. Weapons, some companies, you don't want employees with weapons. Other companies may want employees with weapons. They have a weapon on them. What state are you in? Do they have a weapon in their, vehicle in the parking lot? So there's a lot of questions that come up. And typically when I work with employers and again, this is kind of the smaller employer that's just, getting their footing, they're starting to get more employees. I get the call of, I want to make sure I have everything in place that I need. Where am I going with this? I typically start with kind of an initial meeting / consultation with the client. And a lot of times that initial meeting is what I hear back from clients is the most beneficial because I'm asking these questions and we're going through all of these different items. And a lot of times as a business owner, you're busy making sure your client's happy and hours being paid. You're not thinking proactively about a lot of these, what I say employment issues or, ancillary employment issues. And so getting kind of that premise in place, knowing, if this comes up, I need to think about this, or I may need to call to check up on and make sure it's okay to do it this way. Just being aware of some of these issues out there is probably the most important part of the process for a lot of smaller business owners.